Whenever you're...
Dear Sir, to the editor of the Imperial Valley Press, 1980, November 30. I refer to Rene Martin's letter printed November 4th. The only reason I speak fluent English is because when I was in grade school here in Calexico, especially in the 6th to 8th grade, if one was caught speaking Spanish, you either got a 0 in citizenship on your report card, stayed after school, or got whacked across the hand. For this I will be eternally thankful, because the older I get, the more I realize how difficult the English language is. I disagree with Miss Martin that we were being inculcated that any other language other than English was inferior. The idea was to have us learn English, and English we learn. No one's self-esteem was undermined, as Miss Martin says. And as Miss Martin continues, the school principal and teachers used the ways of the slave overseer against the Mexican children for speaking Spanish when you were not supposed to. Then, my mother, may she rest in peace, also used the ways of the slave overseer when she whacked me across the mouth for using foul language. This was not, as Miss Martin says, violence begetting violence. This was just plain old-fashioned discipline, something that is becoming a rarity in our schools these days. The teachers and system had rules and regulations. Teachers were respected, and these rules and regulations obeyed or else. Teachers didn't put up with shenanigans in class or on the grounds. One of Calexico's highly beloved and respected English teachers was the late Mrs. Kennedy, 7th and 8th grade. Mrs. Kennedy didn't tolerate any horse around her class, and would let you know this in a quiet voice while slowly attempting to yank your hair out with a slow twist to the right and then to the left. One immediately got the message. For efforts exceeding the boundaries of normal school spirit, the student was sent to the office where his sensibilities in the area of his posterior were directly attended to with a short piece of sturdy hose, manufactured by Goodrich, as I recalled. In high school, if a student after due time was observed to be making no effort to study or learn and seemed to be just taking up space, he was sent home, and his parents were advised to kindly keep him there permanently. The system then did not, as Miss Martin says, produce people illiterate in 2 languages and with inferiority complexes. On the contrary, it produced people speaking 2 languages fluently, and I would be very happy to introduce anyone to them. They are around here. From ordinary people to multi-million-dollar capitalists, Mexicans, Americans, blacks, Japanese, Chinese, etc. I hope my grammar and punctuation in this letter is not criticized like Mrs. Munger's letter. I want everyone to know right now I don't know whether some of the verbs have moods. They have shifted around from the indicative to the passive diagonally to the laxative, or if any group of words is a subordinate clause or Santa Claus. I think that what counts is that those reading this will understand it. I don't mean it to be an entry in a punctuation and grammar contest at Oxford University. Sincerely, Pedro Pete Padilla. And this other one was to the Imperial Valley Press. I thoroughly agree with J. Park's letter on illegals. J. Park's thoughts are exactly the same thoughts the Indians had in 1620 when they saw this Mayflower ship loaded with illegal pilgrims approach their country and dump all these illegals on the shores. Millions of other illegals followed soon afterwards, some like the blacks against their will and in chains to boot. The only difference then was that these illegals robbed the Indians of their land and beat and killed most of them. Since this horde of illegals couldn't deport the Indians from their own country, they rounded up those still living and put them in great big outdoor jails called reservations. And for the black illegals, the white illegals sold them as slaves. Now time passed, and one day all these illegals, quite satisfied with a job well done and having nothing better to do, dusted their wings, adjusted their halos, and settled down to building our great nation, called themselves legal, and declared anyone coming into now their land illegally and was a criminal, and that's that, period. Now, which one of you wants to throw the first stone? Yeah, that's enough.